Hey, I'm Hank with Iroz Motorsport. Today we're going to be talking about direct injector deletes. It's a pretty controversial topic at the moment, but I want to outline why we're doing it, how to do it, when you should be doing it yourself. I have to apologize a little bit because in the onset of people starting to talk about DI deletes, I was that person that said you shouldn't be deleting your DIs. The more and more I started thinking about it and more I had more experience, I started realizing that there are some pretty cool pros to deleting the DI. The biggest one is just that there's a lot of fuels that aren't compatible with the direct injection system, mostly the pump. So by being able to delete the direct injectors, we're able to use some different fuels that we weren't able to use before, while also becoming a more stable and safe fueling system for the car. But the first thing that we have to do is be able to delete these direct injectors. So let's jump right into those, is what we're going to be doing. These are some of the equipment that you're going to be needing to do this, to do it proper in my opinion. First, we're just going to have some cutting fluid. The Magic EP Extra is my go-to. We will want some thread anti-seize for spark plugs or something like that will do well. And then just some brake clean and some sort of a rag to be able to wipe things down with. With your direct injection delete kits, you'll get 5 of these, and then you'll also get this neat little tool to be able to center the tap as you're going through. It's a really clever solution. This was pioneered by Dallas Performance by Taylor Sims, and then DSX has done their own version with a little bit better or tighter thread. Some cool features like a last ditch effort removal tool. If you needed to get them out in a slide hammer, you could slide into this little thread in there to get them out. So pretty cool little setup they have going on there. But let's start off on just tapping it and what you want to do with that. The first thing you'll want to do is just slide in this adapter. DSX sells one that's similar. The only difference with theirs and ours is that we thread these for the Daza. Theirs is a V10 application, and while you probably could get it to work, and you can get it to work because I've done it before, this is nice because our threaded version just goes into the dowel and makes it to where A, it can't get ingested into the engine on accident if it's kept threaded in, and also it keeps the tool from being able to rotate, which makes it a lot easier to tap. So once that's in, you just need to get your tap, and I would recommend some Tap Magic or some WD-40. Just slather it on, stick it in that fitment, and then we use just a 13 12 point. You can buy them for taps as well for whatever you're trying to do, but basically this tool just makes it to where you can't actually move the tap out of alignment, and that's why we call it the alignment tool for tapping. I would recommend backfeeding the chips every once in a while. Basically, you're just going until it bottoms out fully, and it's not going to go any further no matter how hard you're giving the torque wrench. So the big thing here is just making sure that even though we have this jig that keeps it centered, it's still just pretty important that you're kind of checking the edge of the gaps as you're threading in, just trying to make sure they're centered. I've demoed these parts out to a few shops and a few different people just to see if anybody can screw it up, and no one's actually screwed it up yet, so I think we're pretty good spot to be able to have the general public be able to do it in their garage. If you were doing this in your garage with an in-car, just realize it's super important to have the combustion chamber pressurized. So what we'll do is we'll do like a leak down test or a compression test and hook that up to compressed air to where, as you're tapping and as you're cutting threads, it's blowing the threads out of the hole instead of keeping them in the combustion chamber. Super easy. Just also verify that anything that's below the engine, like the dipstick or the throttle inlet that's like right over here, make sure that's all covered or you're gonna start getting metal and stuff into your engine. The other thing that's really important that I think the internet's confused about is that this is 100% reversible. If you decide you want to put direct injectors back in the car, even post-thread, there's nothing here that's not reversible. You would simply just put the direct injector back in the hole and everything would work just exactly as it did before. So now we just got to figure out a way to get all these chips out. And the way we're going to do is we're just going to run over the CNC machine and blow them out. Alright, so the next thing that we need to get done is we just need to prepare the blanks. So the cool part about these is that they have a double seal, but we still need to what we call break in the seal. So we use a compound called DC4. It's just a really slippery lubricant that helps really well with stuff like this. They sell these nice little break-in, and what it is just like a tapered bore, but it's to seat the seals. Basically how these work is you just push them on, and then you just bottom them out. It kind of seats them in their groove. It helps get them in a lot straighter. You damage a whole lot less. So one thing that I've found is that It's really tempting just to put this thing on the end and then shove it in the hole, but your success rate's a lot better if you just take this and you stick it all the way down the hole. Otherwise, it has the ability to get in there crooked, and then as you thread down on it, it just munches it. So put the seal in first, and then I would recommend some anti-seize on the threads. We typically just use it for spark plugs. You stick them in, and then you're going to be using just a 3/8 drive on the end to get them to drive in. So we will just start to thread them in, and you go all the way till it's done, and then we are torquing these to 45 foot-pounds. And you're good. We'll torque them at the end. So really the last thing I want to double check is just that they're seated all the way, because one of the cool parts about that insert is that it has a crush washer on it, much like a spark plug, but it doesn't need to get crushed all the way. So the way that I'm going to be doing that is just by measuring with some calipers just how proud they sit, and they should be around 135 to 140. This is like 139, so that's perfect. And I'll just go down all of them, just double check that they're all the same. And when I realize that they're all the same, job's done. Perfect. So yeah, now it's completely deleted. You can go back in. You'll obviously have to do the pump delete. But as far as the cylinder head goes, it's 100% ready to be run with 10 injectors or 5 injectors if you're trying to do it with 5 injectors.